Hey guys, so today I wanted to make a wooden couch sleeve. These things are awesome if you don't have a coffee table or end tables, but still need a place to set down your drinks or food when chilling on the couch. All you need for this DIY are 3 pieces of wood, 4 corner brackets, wood glue, and a screwdriver. If you have a drill, I'd say it's a good idea to use it because it was really nice being able to pre-drill the holes versus having to fully screw them in with a screwdriver. But before I grabbed my materials, I measured the arm of my couch. I needed my sleeve to be 9 inches long on top and 7 inches tall on the sides. So I grabbed a wood plank that was 4 feet long, and since I don't have a saw at home just yet, I had the guys at Lowe's cut the wood down for me before I left, and that was a huge help. Then when I got home, the very first thing I did was sand down all the wood pieces. Since some of the edges were a bit prickly from the saw, I wanted to make sure everything was all smooth. I started with an 80 grit sandpaper and then moved on to a 320 grit sandpaper to really smooth everything out. After I sanded all my wood pieces, I put everything together just so I could see how it all fit. Once I had all the brackets where I wanted them, I took a pen and marked where I needed to place the screws. Once I had my markings, I decided to use my drill to kind of start the holes for me. It's a lot easier doing this versus screwing them straight into the board without any pre-drilled hole. So if you have a drill and choose to do this step, you don't need to hold the brackets in place at the same time. That's why you have your markings there. And I obviously didn't realize that until the second hole. Come on, Kaylee. Once I had the holes pre-drilled, it was time to screw the brackets in place. I did leave the brackets a little loose since I wanted to make sure the side panel fit properly first. I placed the first side panel up against the brackets and marked where I needed to drill my holes. Again, once I had my holes drilled, I screwed the brackets into place. I'm not sure why I thought the tip of my screwdriver was magnetic, but it's not. So I definitely turn this over when you attach the side panel. That way you're driving the screws in up and down versus sideways. Much easier. I also left each of these screws a little bit more loose until I flipped it back over, and then I tightened up all 4 screws on that one side. After that, I did the same exact thing to the other side. Screwed the brackets into the middle panel, marked the sides, drilled my holes, and that's when this DIY got a little difficult. It's not that the project itself was difficult, I just could not, for the life of me, figure out why this wasn't working. And I realized that with this side, I was not able to assemble it the same way because when I went to screw in the side panel, my screwdriver and drill were too long and were hitting the other side panel. So this wasn't accomplishing anything other than making me insanely frustrated. So anywho, I took the whole side apart and started again. This time I screwed in the side panel brackets first and then connected them to the main panel. Much better.
Like, look how easy that is. I could have cut off 10 minutes and a lot of frustration had I just done this.
So once everything was all screwed in, the brackets were super tight, I was oodling over my work, that's when I realized I had a major brain fart. Remember that wood glue I said you needed for this DIY? Yeah, I forgot to use it. So I unassembled each side, laid a fat line of glue where the side panels meet the main panel, and then I reassembled everything just like I showed you before. So the only extra step I added was putting in a line of wood glue before you completely secure the brackets onto the side. And I don't know why I couldn't have just remembered that. It's sitting on the table in front of me. Now, I could have stopped here and just been done with it, story of my life, but I didn't like how the corners looked with this tiny gap, so I added some more wood glue to fill in the cracks. I figured, what the hell, it dries clear, so I used a big fat glob and just cleaned it up after. Everything seemed to sit really well, but I wanted to make sure that when it dried, it still had solid 90-degree corners and didn't slant inwards at all. So I took some parchment paper, since I'm OCD and didn't want to risk getting any glue on the couch, placed the couch sleeve on the couch arm, and I let it dry there, almost kind of molding it to the couch as it's drying. Once it was completely dry, it looked really good. I was loving the natural wood and I totally could have stopped here. But again, I decided I wanted to paint it white and seal it since it would be used for food and drinks.
Pinch and pull up. Pinch and pull up. Pinch and pull up. Pinch and pull up.
I did about 4 coats of white acrylic paint, and once that was all dry, I sealed it with a water-based polyacrylic wood sealer. I did about 4 coats of sealer to make sure the sleeve was super protected, and then voila! You have the finished couch sleeve! Even with me adding in painting it, sealing it, forgetting the wood glue, wrestling with the sealer can, this DIY was still finished and able to be used the very next day. And now my roomies and I have a place to set our beers until we get a proper coffee table, or until I build one for us. We'll see what happens. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time!